Welcome back to Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee. I am CarrieVee, your biggest fan. And this podcast is all about communication, leadership, clarity, and confidence. Can you have connection without communication? No. Can you have communication without connection? Absolutely. In fact, I think that happens far more often than communication and connection combined. People are communicating all the time. But what they are communicating may not be what they mean to be communicating, and what they are communicating may not form a connection piece. In fact, it may be doing just the opposite. It may be tearing apart. How we communicate with people is so important. And connection is the most important piece of communication. And we want to make absolutely sure that that connection piece is happening. Couples that connect with each other are more likely to stay together. Parents who connect with their children have stronger relationships. Employers who connect with their employees have great working relationships. Employees who connect with other employees, friends who connect with their friends, stronger relationships. That connection piece is crucial. And it's the piece that's missing in most conversations, in most communications, in most every day as we walk around and we hear people talking. If you sit in a restaurant or out in a park or anywhere where there's people talking and you just kind of listen, you'll hear a lot of talking going on, a lot of communicating's going on, but there's not always a lot of connection going on. Have you ever been in a room with people and maybe they pair you off with someone to do an activity or something, or someone catches your eye and you just start chatting, and then the talking goes on and on and on one side, and you can almost see the person who is being talked at start to shut down, start to almost shrink away, because there's no connection going on. There's just a barrage of words going at them. Or maybe that has been you. Maybe you are the person who is starting to talk to someone and they keep taking the conversation back and putting it in their court. They keep taking the ball, putting it back in their court, and they just keep talking about themselves over and over and over again. And you can almost feel yourself, you can feel your mind start to wander. You can feel yourself thinking, I don't know how to get out of this. And it becomes this one-sided monologue. There's communication going on, but what they are communicating to you is, I don't care about you. And as John Maxwell says, no one cares what you know until they know how much you care. They've got to know how much you care. But when people, and maybe it's you, and maybe it's, I know I've done it, where I can feel myself talking, and then I remind myself, read the room. There is no connection going on. Pull it back. It's a skill that we can learn. It is a skill that we can learn. There is a part in John Maxwell's book, The 16 Undeniable Laws of Communication, an entire chapter on communication. And he says that when we are talking about ourselves, we are not connecting. When we are just giving out content after content after content, we are not forming a connection. But when we are allowing the other person to share their heart, to talk, to answer questions, we ask questions and they answer them, that is when the connection is happening. People need to talk about what is going on in their lives. They need to talk about themselves. Excellent communicators and excellent connectors ask questions and then actively listen to the answer. Actively listen. Charisma, it can be learned. Are some people more charismatic than others? Yeah, there's people that are more outgoing, but outgoing people are not always great connectors, and outgoing people are not always great charismatic people. Charisma comes from tapping into someone else and truly listening to them, hearing them, asking them questions. Have you ever gotten into an Uber or a Lyft and you know the driver is open to talking? Do you tell that driver about yourself the whole drive, or do you start asking the driver questions about How long have you been doing this? What is your favorite? What is the favorite Uber drive you can remember? What was the worst experience you've had doing this? Ask them questions. They love to talk. My Uber rating is super high. They all say I'm a great conversationalist. I ask questions because that forms a connection piece. And once a connection is formed, once that connection is formed, that is when you can take a relationship to another level. You can work closer together with your coworkers. You can understand your employer better, your boss better, your manager better. It is all about that connection piece. And just because you're talking, just because you're communicating, that does not mean you are connecting. Connection comes when there is a mutual respect and understanding, and when you, as the speaker, are really working on active listening. That's when that connection piece begins. When we are talked at, we all know this. When we are talked at, we shut down. Whether it's a nice conversation or one where you're getting reprimanded for something, if the words are just flying at you and you can barely catch them and you're just sitting back like, oh my gosh, don't give me another word, that there is no connection. There is a lack of connection going on. It's gone. It is completely gone. If we want connection to happen, we have to lean into the other person. It's not about what you're saying. It's not about you. It is about the other person with whom you are connecting. You will have your chance to speak. They might ask you a question back on what you asked them. But connection comes when you both get to have a part of that conversation. And if you're speaking from a stage, we've got to have that connection piece. Since COVID, we have lost that. We've lost a lot of that connection piece because we're always talking through our Hollywood Squares boxes. And people now show up to meetings with their cameras off, cameras off, cameras off. We don't learn that way. We don't connect that way. We've got to see each other. We've got to be able to lean in. If you see someone struggling on a Zoom call, ask them questions, pull them in. What are you struggling with? What can we help you with? Stop and talk to them. Ask them a question about how their day is going. That's how connection is formed. Connection is formed when people start to realize that we care about them. That's when relationships grow. That's when employees get better and people get better and sales get better. Form the connection piece. Don't get lost just in learning how to communicate. Bring the connection piece in and bring it full circle. Connection will empower you to live your most fabulous life. Take the time to learn the skill of connection. Listen, actively listen when it comes to connection. Lean in to what the other person is saying. They don't care about all the stats and all the statistics you know, all the facts you know. That doesn't need to be word vomited out on people. Connect with their heart and let them know you care. Learn to be charismatic. Learn to be that person that everyone says, wow, they're a great listener. We had such a great conversation. We really connected. Seek out that connection piece. Your journal prompt today is, how well do you think you are connecting in every conversation that you have? Have you connected? How well did you connect? I will be putting together a mastermind, actually a speaking course on the maximal method of speaking. So be listening in for that. I will be announcing that in the next couple of weeks on the podcast. I can't wait to bring that to you. It's going to be a powerful, powerful course to help you learn how to not only speak, but actually connect. You got to be able to connect with the person you're talking to, whether it's an audience of thousands or an audience of one. The world is made up of all other people with the exception of you. It's everyone else. So let's focus on them. Let's connect with them. Let's learn this together. I'm CarrieVee, your biggest fan. I love you. I really do. Until next time, keep connecting.